Welcome back to linear algebra. First thing we're going to do is jump into Anki. All right, what three properties must a matrix have to be in row echelon form? The three properties a matrix must have to be in row echelon form is that the rows that are all zeros are grouped at the bottom. Two, rows that are not all zeros. The first digit from reading from the first entry from left to right is a leading one. And then consecutive rows that are non-zeros, the row on top or above has a left, the leftmost leading one, and the one below essentially has a right or more right leading one. Zero rows are grouped at the bottom of the matrix. In rows that are not entirely zeros, the first number from the left to right is 1. In two successive rows that are not zero rows, the top rows leading 1 is further to the left. Yeah, that's what I don't know if I said that, but I signaled that. I know what it means. Yes, I might have said that backwards, but we're just so good. Of what matrix is A to the power of negative n1 the inverse? The matrix A to the power n. If A is an invertible matrix and n is a positive integer, what does the symbol A to the negative n denote? If A is an invertible matrix and n is a positive integer, it denotes A to the negative 1 in parentheses to the n power, aka A to the inverse of A times the inverse of A times the inverse of A n times. All right, so that's all the flashcards. I'm going to grade what I did yesterday, then I'll be back after that and go from there. All right, we got both questions right, so I'm going to go do more practice problems, and then I'm going to be doing 1.4 flashcards for Anki, and then I'll be back in the end to recall what I did. Okay, we did two problems. One was from 1.4. This was determine if this matrix is invertible, and if so, what is its inverse, by solving ax equals I. So we know we get that a times x equals I. If we multiply both sides by the inverse of a, then x equals the inverse of a. So we just put a bunch of unknowns, variables, multiply out, get this, start to solve for each of these unknowns and entries, and quickly determine that an invalid mathematical statement is reached, and so I believe that means A is not invertible. So it is singular. It's singular. It's singular. I think it's singular. And then finding inverse of this 4x4 with unknowns. We skip some of them because it's this chapter has already been a lot of this inverse algorithm, and so same thing here, except now we're dealing with not real numbers. We're dealing with variables, and then we just multiply each row by 1 over whatever was in that row to find that the inverse is that. Yeah. So we finished 2 more flashcards for 1.4, which means we have 2 more flashcards total for 1.4, so we're just about done there. As far as this chapter goes for 1.5, we're nearing the end, I would say. I don't know if we need to do a second pass on this one. This chapter is really simple. But anyway, that's it for today. Talk to you tomorrow. See ya.